Welcome to state-of-the-art big hit carp fishing. My name's Danny Fairbrass and I'm here with Chris Rose and Steve Spurgeon, two very good friends of mine, colleagues of mine as well, and we're going to talk you through how to get loads of takes in one day. We're here at Layer Pits in Colchester in Essex, and as you can see the boys are playing for the camera. They've got one on each. Steve's one looks like quite a good fish, possibly a 20. Chris's we don't know about at the moment, and during the video what we're going to do is run through all the little tricks that they use to get this many takes in a day. Yes, you're right, that's dumped the lead.
Yeah, that's what I thought he had, because it was playing. They come up on the surface areas, don't they?
Now isn't it strange how it gets written about in the magazines all the time that a Korda lead clip will not dump the lead?
That's right.
Yeah. And here we have it on camera, with a fish being played with no lead on the end. So unless you cast that out without a lead on, I would beg to differ with the magazines, would you?
That's right, mate. I mean, basically we're fishing over a little bit of silt out there. The lead's plugged in, the take was so violent, but it's actually taken the lead off, you know. But the beauty of it is, you know, if that was to plough through weed or a potential snag on any other water, you know, especially with this, I've got floating braid on. They come up, they would ditch the lead, come up on the surface, and you can plough them back in that layer, you know, rather than down deep where all the snags and the weed and all that business.
Cool, mate, that is a small one.
Yeah.
But we're fishing for takes over here, aren't we? So
oh, that's it.
Not total weight, it's how many bites you get. Oh, sorry, mate. Gotcha.
There she goes.
Lovely jubbly. Right, I'm going to take this off because it's quite a deep net, so I'm going to unclip that. Do you want to take that net?
I'll take the net.
If we can come in close on that. That's flipped over like it did in his hand, right in the bottom lip, perfect. Minimum damage to the fish, excellent hook hold, no way that was coming off. There you go, that's out nice and easy.
Job done. Got a bit of line or something.
Cool, we have to get a rod in the water now, mate. You ain't going to catch on with nothing in the water.
He's got the jump on me now, Steve. He's got a bit of bait out there.
Yeah, but you're two one in front.
I'm
Let's have that net out of the way.
You what?
I'm one behind now.
Yeah, that don't mean nothing, does it?
No.
Are you doing the honours for us then, are you?
Yeah, I'll put this one back, mate.
Top man.
Early days.
There you go. Oh. Just wet that up to get any of the gravel and what have you off of it so it's not so rough against it. There he is. Lovely. Cool. Number 3, mate.
Yeah.
I'll put a bit more spot out, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I thought I'd put the old dinner bell out. See if there's a few fishermen around needing enticing down a bit, and
It's paid off.
yeah, literally a couple of minutes afterwards, one's rattled off.
Another little common.
Yeah.
You see there, I see you using a leg clip, yeah, and the lead's come off.
Yes, mate. On a leg
In
core
the net.
leader, this one.
Excellent. But what we'll do a bit later on is perhaps have a look at how you put those lead systems together.
Yeah, no problem.
But we'll get this one on the mat and unhooked, and get back out for another one, eh?
Yeah.
So still well catchable. Is that hooked in the same place?
Another one now. See that slightly back in the mouth, like I was saying earlier?
Yeah.
I'll probably shorten that hook link now.
Right.
You know, you don't want to be catching them back here. I mean, it's quite a bad tear really in the mouth there. You want to be catching them around here.
Yeah.
You know, so.
Excellent. It's working as predicted.
Yep.
That's the good thing about it.
Yeah.
Lovely colour, aren't they, these fish?
Oh, yeah.
Gorgeous colour. That weren't never coming off, was it, mate?
Oh, no. Actually, I'm probably need a bit of falsies for that one.
Right, I'll cover that over for you. You want to get them? It's worth remembering, never leave a fish unattended. So if Chris was here on his own, then he'd probably put the fish back in the water, and then once he's got his forceps, he can get it back out again. Because if you leave it unattended, it flaps off the mat and onto the gravel, you're going to damage the fish. Okay.
There she goes.
Cool. Shall I put it back in the net?
Yeah, lovely.
Just gather that net up like that. And then, my love, off you go. Back to your watery home. Wicked. So what we're going to do now is have a look at Chris and Steve's lead systems in a bit more detail. Now, Chris, I know you were an inline man a while ago and you've gone over to swivel leads now. You're using the swivel lead at layer. Do you want to talk us through the one you're using and let us know why you're actually using it?
Yeah, I mean, basically I don't fish layer pits as often as I used to. I'm fishing a 40-acre lake at the moment.
Oh, that undisclosed southern Stillwater,
yeah,
isn't it? Yeah,
the goldfish pond, most people call it, yeah. And you know, I can be fishing at ranges of 150 yards now.
Right.
And, you know, you can get a lot more distance with a swivel lead setup than you can with an inline
Right.
setup. And so it's always on my rods, you know.
Right.
Over the years we found it doesn't make the slightest bit of difference whether you're using an inline setup or a swivel lead setup over layer pits.
Right.
So, you know, it's just more universally used, you know.
Right. Why do you think it doesn't make a difference at layer?
Basically it's because, I mean, layer's a gravel pit anyway, but it's just got like a little tiny film of silt, you know, and
Yeah.
With an inline lead, because obviously the hook link is attached to the heavier end of the lead.
Yeah.
When it goes in, it takes a little bit of the hook link in, but it doesn't make any difference at all over layer. I mean, you know, the fish are silt feeders anyway, like, you know.
Right. And they're feeding so heavy anyway.
That's right.
Little tiny things about the rig like that aren't as important as they are in other places.
Doesn't bother them at all.
Well, let's have a look at the system then. That's the old standard lead clip then.
That's it. 0.75 rig tube, the tail rubber, the lead clip, and size 8 quarter swivel.
Very simple.
Very easy to set up.
Right. Okay. So if we pull that apart, that's your tubing out of there. I noticed there you've done the end of that tubing, cut that to an angle.
Just cut it at an angle so it's easy to put into the tail rubber.
Right.
Just
Okay.
put the point in and twist it, and it
Yeah,
goes
that's
in a lot
another thing that
easier.
people they end up cutting off the end of the tail rubber to get the tubing in, and they've just wasted the whole point of it.
That's
haven't they?
right, yeah.
Right. Okay. So tail rubber off next. It's a little bit harder to get off there. There's your tail rubber.
And you've got your leg clip and your size 8 swivel.
We'll pull that off of there. It takes a little bit more to get this off of here.
That's right. There's a little tiny special ridge inside what the actual swivel's meant to lock behind.
Right.
What a lot of people do make the mistake of doing is not pulling it in far enough.
Right. Okay. So we'll take that lead off there to show people how to get that off as well. So that's the lead just come off that arm. Like that. And we just put it back together, show people how to do it. So clip that on to the arm there. See, that's on. And then this is going to take a little bit more force to get it in.
That's right.
Which is the whole point of the system, isn't it?
Pull it past that ridge.
That's
near
that
the
click.
old click.
And then wet the end of that. And then the rubber comes down onto there like that. And I mean, you know, you hear about people not being able to set these up properly and that sort of thing. I mean, you couldn't get much more simple than that, really.
No,
could
I
you?
mean, half of the problem with people not setting them up properly is that they don't realise, but actually inside the packaging, there's information on how to set it up.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of people get the pack and just take the products out and that's it. You know.
Yeah.
You know.
I think we're all guilty of that, aren't we? When,
Oh yeah.
When I get a new video or something out of the box, it all just gets plugged in without looking at the
That's
instructions.
it, yeah.
But that's one of the points of doing the video as well, isn't it? So people do know.
Yeah.
And why that length of tubing now? I mean,
Basically, I like it to be 12 to 18 inches. Basically, I don't personally use it for anything other than the protection of the fish.
right.
Because I'm using braided mainline.
Yeah.
And it's very thin. When you're playing fish and the line runs down the shanks of the fish, you can lift scales with it.
Right.
So, I mean, I use it for that. But I mean, because of the way I set up my hook links with like mantis or a snake bite, I'm confident I ain't going to get any tangles with it.
Right.
You know, if you're using just ultra fine braid, then I'll be using it for the anti-tangle purposes as well, because
Right.
everything comes off lovely behind it. You know?
Yeah. That's a nice anti-tangle setup. Now we look at this is obviously designed to to eject the lead. So if we show people that as well, so we've set it up exactly as we would normally.
That's
pulled
right.
that in so we get a click there. You know, the rubber's gone on with a bit of saliva beforehand.
Yeah.
So if I hold the lead, I'm the snag,
Yeah.
and then obviously the fish pulls the lead off. So if I pull against that,
That's it.
that's how it works.
Yeah.
You know, we've actually seen that when you're actually fishing, a couple of the fish you've had, you know, the lead's actually come off where it's plugged in the silt, and you.
Yeah, about such violent takes, it's just literally taking the lead off straight away.
Yeah.
You know.
And it's better to lose a lead every now and again than leave a fish with the whole lot
That's
all,
right.
all rigged up.
That's right.
Cool. Okay, well that's that one. You're using lead core as well at times. Do you want to show us how to set a lead core setup up to look exactly the same as that? Yeah.
No problem. So this is one of our standard 30-inch lead core leaders.
Right.
Got a small loop at one end and a large loop at the other.
Right.
Okay. It's one of our size 8 swivels with a clip already put on it. Which we just put the loop through the eye of the swivel.
Yep.
And then bring the other end back over and pull it down. Now a lot of people with these leaders, but we've noticed in the past, have brought the whole loop back past.
So you've got like a big lump of leader
Yeah.
at the back of the eye there.
Which when you use them with the lead clip actually stops it from going into the special little groove inside.
Right.
And making it click. So just have it the other side of it like that.
So it's lassoed around the neck of the
Yeah.
swivel rather than...
Yeah.
Right,
So,
okay.
you know, it's not going anywhere. It's still
Yeah,
exactly the same.
sure. Now what I would do, where you've got that there on the small loop, I would put it on the big loop because I'm not fishing with one of these clips. So when I'm changing the hook link, I just undo what you've done there and pull the whole lot through, and obviously that big loop allows the bait,
Yeah,
like
you
milk
can-
bait, to go through as well. But because you've got that clip on the end there, you're never going to do that,
No,
are you?
that's right. I just use the small end.
Right, cool, okay. Now let's get the rubber and the clip on as well.
Right, I'll get these out of the packets. And trusty old baiting needle.
That's the only one I use, that.
Yeah, they
haven't got a nasty barb on the end, have they?
Yeah, how many times you sat on the other ones? Just put the clip on.
That's going on the other end, and it's
Other
going
end.
on the big end first.
Yeah. Pull it down.
Right.
Pull
Just
it down.
over
That's it.
the
the glue.
splice there.
Gone in the end now, and then you should hear it click.
There you go. It's
Yeah.
in there nice and tight.
That's that end done.
And the rubber goes on as well. That's a Gardner retractable baiting needle, isn't it? Just
Yeah.
so people know.
The only one worth using, really.
Yeah.
Again, your rubber's going down. You see the lead core's just the right size, so it fits just nice and snug on the back of the rubber there. So
Right.
if there was like a little bit of a gap there, that is potentially an area where you can actually tangle a hook link, you know,
Right.
but because that fits perfectly.
Right. Cool.
And just put your clip on. There your lead on the clip,
That's it.
and pull the rubber down to wherever you want it. I mean, if you're fishing open water situations, that rubber could go right the way down.
Right.
You know? If you're fishing in a weedy situation, and if it does get tangled or caught up, you want it to come off pretty much straight away, just nick it on the back.
Right.
You know, that lead's not going to come off unless it gets caught in some way.
Yeah,
because
right.
everything's going that way, especially when you're casting and that. You know?
Yeah. So if you're fishing open water, if you push the rubber on all the way, you're only going to lose the lead if it really gets snagged up in something. So you're
Yeah.
not losing the lead on every take.
No, that's
But if
right.
you're fishing weedy conditions, you know, don't push the rubber on so far, and then the lead's going to come off a lot easier as the fish goes through stuff.
Yeah.
The lead's going to come off. But that swivel's got to be in there rock solid, isn't
Oh,
it?
yeah, you've
That's
got-
the thing
you've
that
got
people
to
don't
have
realise.
The right size swivel.
Yeah, and it's
You
got
know.
to click past that
And it's
ridge.
got to click.
You know, because people say, oh, you know, the lead slips off and gone up the lead core and what have you, and it's only because the swivel's not in tight enough.
That's right,
What,
you know.
what I do now with the ring swivels, which are ever so slightly smaller than the standard swivels, although we asked them the same size, when they turned
Yeah.
up they were smaller, weren't
Yeah,
they?
that's right.
I just put a little bit of nylon into that hole at the front there first, and then when I pull the swivel in, it's just enough to tighten it up.
That's it,
And you can
yeah.
do the same if you use one of them and that ridge is worn down a little bit of line in there, 25-pound line,
Yeah.
only ½ inch long, pull it in and you
That's-
get the same sort of tension again.
That's it.
Excellent. Okay, mate.
Simple and
brilliant.
easy to use, isn't it?
Super stuff. All right, well, what we'll do now is we'll have a look at Stevie Boy into a few more fish. and then after that we'll come back and have a look at the setup he uses, because he uses inlines over there.
Yeah, that's right.
And he does fish Layer a little bit more than you nowadays.
Yeah, that's
he moved
right,
on to the bigger ones.
He likes to run, does
he? Likes to run, that's very true. So we go back to the action at the lake now, and then after that we'll have a look at Steve's inline setups.
As you can see, down another good hook hole, the big T Raptor there penetrated right into the hard part of the mouth. You know, that was never going to come out there. I mean, if it hit some of this softer stuff with some old mouth damage, yeah, it might have been a different problem, but the rig's worked effectively. You can see the shrink tubing's come away there. But, as you can see, it's in there, and that wasn't going to come out.
No, excellent.
All right, we'll just pop that, we'll pop that out.
Mm.
And we'll
get him weighed.
We'll get him weighed up.
That's a 20, isn't it?
Just slowly work that out there. Out you come. Go on.
God, that's well in.
Yeah. Got a bit of sun for the picture and all. So, what's that you've had now? 4?
4, yeah. I'll be happy if I had 4 and have 2 20s, because the thing is, we could have had, do you know what I mean, 20 odd fish and, you know,
yeah.
a
Can I
piece.
get under there?
Yeah, sure, yeah.
Just lift that up. Put this back on you.
Right, let's get her up. Yeah, scrape the 20. What are we looking at? 20. Can't see that dial there. Can you see it properly then?
Yeah, let's have a look. £20.14 that is, mate.
£20.14.
2 20s in a day, that ain't bad,
That's
is it?
not
Most
bad,
people
is
would be
it?
well pleased with that,
Yeah.
wouldn't they, without all the others?
Especially as they're commons. I mean, we're a bit sport on this water because it is all commons, but a lot of places there's quite a shortage of them.
Another one in the bag there, mate.
Yeah, no one in the bag, mate.
We see at Layer that you prefer to use inline leads rather than swivels, you know, and you fished it for a long time.
Yeah.
So do you want to explain to us why you like inlines, and then perhaps talk us through a couple of systems you use?
Yeah, sure. Well, the thing with Layer pit, it is a gravel pit. It's got a small layer of silt on it, but to be honest, over the years I've used swivels, I've used inlines, and I haven't found any great deal, you know, no one's better than the other, you know, so you just can't see any difference in them. So the reason I use inlines is because it is probably the most practical setup.
Right.
I mean, as you saw, like, you know, 1 or 2 of Chris's leads come off because the takes are so violent. I mean, even though there's no weed or anything, it's so, you know, they blast off, they knock around and you lose the odd lead. I mean, even though I get my leads for nothing, I'm still such a tight git, I just don't like losing anything.
I thought you bought them for trade, mate. You didn't tell me you get them for nothing.
Did I tell you that? So, what it is with me is I will use whatever the most practical setup is on the day and the lake I'm using. I mean, Chris is a bit lazy, so he likes to carry swivels all the time, so he can use them anywhere, because they are so versatile, you know, and the inlines aren't so much. But I mean, something I would say about inlines as well is I think it's a bit of a misconception as well that they're no good in weed. But I mean, going back a few years, I fished as a guest a couple of times with Chris on the Crown, which was a very weedy venue, and I used inlines then. I was using the old style distance, which probably the Skyliner now is the similar, you know, most similar sort
the
of
very slender one.
Yeah, and I mean, and that was a weedy venue, and I didn't lose a fish in the weed. I lost fish, but never in the weed, just hook poles, you know. Because, I mean, let me just explain why anyway. On Chris's swivel edge setup, you're almost inviting the lead to sort of hang up, you know, because it's hanging down from your line. Yeah. But obviously, when you're playing a fish, you've not got a lot of mass there to pull through the weed with an inline.
Right.
I mean, obviously, if it's severe weed, then don't. But
we'd rather have the lead come off.
Yeah, we weren't fishing at real ranges, and we were finding clear patches, but you had to bring them back through bits of weed. But I mean, if it's dense, then yeah, the clip rolls there, like, you know. But like I say, if it's not too bad, then the inline still works really well if it's a hard bottom lake, you know.
Right. And both of you have said that Layer's got a slight layer of silt. Yeah. Do you make the hook link longer to take that into account, or you don't bother?
I mean, one of the things that I do anyway is I fish these clips, and with the bag, to be honest, in 8 foot of water and you're casting 40 yards, it's it's not going down as if you're casting up against a bar or an island. You know, it's dropping down through the wall on its side more than anything. It's coming down like that, bang.
Right.
So, you know, even if the lead's covered in silt, it doesn't seem to make any difference. You've still got your little pivot point there moving in. It's only very fine, the silt. Most of the time you're on pretty hard stuff anyway.
Right. Okay, well, talk us through that system then and show us how it all goes together.
Well, as I said, it's probably the most simple lead system of them all.
Yeah.
Right, if I talk through the components, okay.
Let's just lift that up so everyone can see that.
I'll pull it apart. All you've got on is your tubing now. I think Chris mentioned that, well, I mean, we fish bags all the time, so you never really get tangled with a bag anyway, you know, you're very unlucky if you do. But again, this is, you know, looking after the fish welfare, really, the tubing these days, more than anything else.
So that's the bit rubbing against the fish rather than the main line?
Yeah. I mean, even with the inline, you play, you know, you've got quite a bit of there, the lead's rolling probably at the side of the fish, but you can still pick scales up if the fish rolls on your line, so I'd rather use tubing, you know, or if I'm using a lead core leader.
Right.
So you've got your tubing there.
Right.
All right. Tail rubber.
Same as the...
Exactly the same as the clip, so it's, you know, it's no different. If you hold that tight, I'll give it a pull down. Don't bury the hook in your fingers. All right, come out. That's it. All right, and then you've got your actual inline there, your inline lead, your swivel, and that's it.
So 1, 2, 3, 4 bits.
So yeah, you've got
one
less component really on this setup than you have with the swivel, but it's just so simple. It's just such a simple setup.
Right, and we'll put that back together again. The same size swivel as fits the clip.
Exactly the same, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, all the same tubing, same. It's just a different lead.
Right.
You know, with the swivel lead, you're just looking at adding the clip to the setup, but
and that's pulled back in there. So your hard cavity in there holds the swivel in tight enough.
That's it.
But not mega tight. So if you've got to take it would pull out.
It pulls free. I mean, most of the time when you're playing a fish, by the time when you actually get it to the bank, well, I'd say sort of 90% of the time that the lead has come off the swivel already. It's just moving up and down on your line, you know.
Right, gotcha.
But it's enough there to make sure that hook's set home.
Right.
On the take, you know, fishing it semi-fixed.
Right, okay. And I mean, why that shape of inline? You're using a skyliner there. Why that shape?
Because I've set it up for distance.
Right.
Because you're not fishing to try and get on any features, so you don't need a flat lead. You're not looking to hang it up on anything. So basically, it's what will cast best for me on the day with a bag on.
Right.
As an inline lead, and that will beat the others.
Right.
So it gives me that if I need to get out an extra few yards, it's a better lead for that.
Right, and it's virtually the same shape in it as the swivel distance, but just in line.
Exactly the same, yeah.
So because it's got that round cross section to it.
Yeah.
And it's weight forward in the nose there. It's going to fly a long way as well.
Yeah.
Cool.
I mean, the original idea with inlines as well was obviously as the fish picks up the bait, you've got, and you know, tightens up on your hook length. You've got maximum weight there straight away. You know,
so the fish is picking the lead up from the heavy end.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, how much of a difference I think that makes these days is something else. But that was, I think, the original idea behind inlines, to be honest.
Yeah. And the fact that they were anti-tangle as well.
Yeah, yeah.
When they very first come out, it was like, oh, the lead's on the line. It can't hang up anymore. Yeah. I mean, I noticed over layer, you did have a shock leader on one of the rods.
Yeah.
You know, a heavy bit of mono on one of the rods. Why, when you're only fishing 40 yards out, did you have that on?
Well, the thing with layer pits is that they can start showing at sort of 80 yards. They can just, out of the blue, you're not getting nothing over your baiting areas at 40 yards, and bang out the blue, they start banging out, you know, they're topping out left, right, centre. And then you've got to just put a small bag on them and you can catch them.
Right.
So what I've done is basically I had one rod set up to keep on the baiting area all the time, and the other one set up with a shock leader, so I could fish it on the baiting area, but if they started showing, straight away I could go straight out to them with no worry about cracking off. So I was using a lead that was half an ounce heavier as well, just to give me a little bit more weight to get out there.
Got you. And same rig on both, or what?
What, the same?
Same lead setup on both?
No, this is different. This is a different setup.
Right. So do you want to show us the one that you use for shock leaders and how to set it up?
Yeah, sure, yeah. Right, same as the other inline setup. Tubing on there, okay, exactly the same. Right, the tubing, rather than going into a tail rubber this time, it's going into the back of a shock leader sleeve, which is running all the way through the lead. Right. Okay, so if I pull that out there, and I'll show you what I mean. I've got a lead, another inline lead here. What we've done is we've removed this nylon insert that's inside. Okay, it's easy to do. You just tap it out basically, then you can just get a pair of forceps on it, give it a pull, and it's out. All right. Right. So then you've just got pure lead and the coating on there. All right. Right. So okay. You can see, like I say, it's all rubber, and inside here you've got your nylon washer.
Right.
This is stopping, obviously, you know, lead's very soft, and you don't want that pulling all the way through in there into the lead.
Getting stuck in the lead.
Getting stuck in there.
Right.
All right.
So to pull back together
pull that
again.
back in there like that, and it can't.
And that stays in there. That's nice and tight in there.
Yeah, it can't go any further than that.
Right.
All
Okay.
right. So then you put your tubing back up.
That just pokes in the end there, just like it does the
Just
rubber.
pokes straight back in. All right. Like so.
Right.
All right. Then your lead comes back in.
Just
Pulls
semi-fixes.
in there. There you go.
So it's semi-fixed, just the same as the other
exactly,
rig.
Yeah, exactly the same.
And then, in a fishing situation, how is the fish going to get rid of that lead
Right.
then?
What happens is, as that pulls out, all right,
Yeah.
the lead then travels down the tubing like so. What I've done is I've put a big knot in the end there, so you can see. I mean, if anyone's got a shock leader knot like that, they've got problems. You know?
They're tying the wrong lead or not,
they're
I
doing
know.
their own knot. All right, so I mean, lead's come off. It's off.
Bang, that's off the end of the
It's
line.
that easy. You know, it's
Yeah.
that simple. The fish is just left with a hook length and some tubing.
Right, okay. And I mean, while we're talking about this, there's a lot of stuff that you see on the internet and written in magazines about, oh, all you want the fish left with is the hook link, you know, and if that tubing's on the end, it can all get snagged up and all that sort of thing. In reality, you know, I don't think people...
Nothing. You're not going to come up with a system that's safe.
No.
You know, that's 100% foolproof. You can do the best that you can do,
Yeah.
setting it up. And I mean, I don't know of a safer inline setup than that. You know, if someone can show me, I'd like to see it.
Yeah. I mean, it's the most important bit is getting that lead to come off. Isn't it?
Yeah.
The lead comes off. Carrying this around with it is not something that's going to snag up anything like what that would.
Yeah, it's going to be. I mean, obviously, a fish towing that around for hours and hours, it's not going to do it any favours anyways.
No.
It's going to tear up the mouth and do all kinds of damage.
Yeah.
I mean, if it's just pulling that around, it's going to find it a lot easier to get rid of that than it is with that and this hanging on the end, you know.
Yeah.
So,
sure. I mean, even if that hasn't really got to get caught in anything, has it, to come off? It's only got to pull it around the distance.
Yeah, a bit
and then
dragging across gravel or whatever, goes for a bit of weed, it's just going to come away.
Yeah. I notice on your rigs and on Chris's rigs,
Yep.
you've got these cross locks.
Yep.
Tell us a bit about them, about why you started
Right.
using them and what they're actually for.
Right, well, this little clip, basically, it stems back to layer, really. Certainly not so much now, but going back a few years when you'd get days where you'd catch 30 fish quite easily in a day on your own, you know, you'd have 40 odd takes
That's
a day.
mad, isn't it, really?
That's absolutely mad. I mean, you could go a couple of hours and only have one rod in the water because you just couldn't get the other one in the water. So it came about that you would end up with sort of, most of the time I'd try to keep about 8 hook lengths with bags on, all set up. So all I'd done was, as soon as I had a fish, unclipped it, flicked it back out, cast back out, taped to my tape mark, clipped it back up, wound it in, put the bag on, bang, it's back out there.
Right.
Not even changing, like it's got a fresh bait.
While
with
the
it.
fish is still in the net?
Yeah,
with the other hook link still attached to it?
If that was the quickest way, like, you know, then that's what I'd do. Yeah, just take that out, that's there, get the rod back out, unhook that, try and, while that rod's out, try and then reset that one up if you can, because you'll get times where you'll end up with 5 rigs all just laying there that you've caught fish on and you still haven't had a chance to bait one back up, you know.
Yeah, right.
So it all came about really through speed fishing. It was whatever I could do to make it quicker for myself, to catch me more fish.
Right.
That's what I've done, and that was just one of the ways. But since then, I use it for everything because it's just such an easy way to change over your hook length.
Right. And what is it? What is that item?
That's a Fox one.
Right, and what are they called so people know? Is it a cross lock?
I think it is a cross lock.
Or is it a speed lock? Or
it's I'm not.
It's got lock on the end of it.
I'll just go in the tackle shop and got it, but it's quite a distinct clip. It's not like anyone else's that you see.
Right.
I think originally they were done for pike fishing. I think a lot of the pike anglers were using them. But
right. It might actually be in the pike system, mightn't it?
They've got it. I think they've got it in the pike and the carp system.
Right.
But originally I was using snap links.
Right.
Because I don't think that was even available then.
Yeah.
But the only thing with snap links is they're not as strong.
Right.
They're the safest ones I've found. I haven't had any problems at all. I've never opened one up, fished them in weed, fished them fishing up against the island where over the Walthamstow, another one where you've just got to hold on and you know, really beef the fish. Never had a problem with them.
Right.
But like I say, these days it's more for the fact that it's so easy for me. If I suddenly want to put a pop-up on that, I just go cha-ching, pop-up, bang.
Yeah.
It's done. You know, I've got all my rigs ready to do. Easy, simple.
Excellent. And you just got a loop tied in the end of the hook link.
Yeah, just a loop. I mean, I think in another couple of years, I think, no, I never want to be fishing with some kind of, you know, sort of quick change clip, because it is just so easy.
Yeah, they certainly were if we end up developing one. So do you want to just quickly show us
sure.
how to open it up and put it?
What I'll do is I'll take the whole clip off. Okay. All right.
So you've just opened that end up.
Just open the. What I'll do is I'll release the whole thing.
And then the other end, you don't open up, you push it off with the swivel.
I'll just push it off with the swivel.
Right.
So you can just see it's two loops basically.
Right.
2 wire loops, and when you're actually pulling on it, they're pushing against each other, which is just, you know, so it's holding each other together, you know.
Right. So do you want to put that
back
on
again? So if I put
again?
it on, all I'll do is I'll just loop the swivel onto there, click it round.
Right.
All right. So every time I've got a fish now, if you can imagine, all I'm doing is just unclipping that, taking that off. And then when I want to put the next one on, just unclip it again, hook it under like that, do it back up.
Easy.
Ready to go. It's that simple.
Excellent stuff. That's great. So now we've seen Steve's and Chris's lead systems, what we're going to do is go back to layer and see a little bit more action, and after that we're going to look at something that could get you 5 times as many takes when you're fishing over these big beds of bait. So let's go back to layer now and then show you a few more tips after. Oh, going mad, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh. Crazy fish. Obviously don't want to come in, does it?
Hell no. We've all been like that today, haven't I?
Yeah. It's mad how you two are so close together, you're getting the bites.
It happens. I mean, later on today, it could change completely around the other way.
Yeah, I mean, Steve ain't stopped, has he, trying other things?
Oh, that's right.
He's had zig rigs on, popped up right off the bottom.
Yeah, but that's what it's like over here, isn't it?
Come to pop.
I say, it's good fun.
Gotcha.
Good fun, and try your rigs out.
God, it's going crazy, this fish. Another Barney rubber, I think, just about.
Just about, mate.
11 poundish, a bit of yeah, it's got caught in there. Just take that out. That's it. Oh, it's got caught in there now. Right, I'll hold the rod. Do you want to wet that mat up because it's sunny and they're drying out very quick? Cheers, mate.
Easy, girl.
Crazy one, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's almost like they've just spawned and they're, you know?
Yeah.
It's getting boring now, these are cold, isn't it?
It's actually yours. As you see there, Danny, what's happened is it's been hooked there and it got double hooked here.
Right.
And so what I'm going to do is rather than try and distress the fish and try and winkle it out that way, I'm just going to cut the rig.
Right.
And it's a lot safer for the fish.
Just cut that there. That's it, and then that's just pull through the hole.
Straight out then. But you can
Minimum.
see the original hook hold was
Yeah, in
right
there.
in the middle again.
Excellent.
Right where you want them.
Excellent stuff. Right, okay. I'll put this one back, mate, if you want to get that rod out again. Let's see if we can get some more. That needs redoing as well.
Yeah. Lovely, thanks, Dan.
Cheers, mate. Put that back in there. There you go. You see there, it's really important not to take the hook out with too much force. We've noticed that the hook had gone through twice, so we've got it out of the first hook hold. It's actually gone right through the lip. So rather than trying to pull it back through again, we've just cut the line and just pulled the line through. So we've ruined our hook link, but we've done minimum damage to the fish, and it is important. Don't force the hook when you're taking it out. Just try and work it back out of the hole that it's made, and you cause absolute minimum damage to their mouth. So very, very important, even when you're catching lots of them.
So we're in Chris and Steve's, or we're in Steve's swim now, and we're going to have a look at first of all the catapults that you guys use for putting the Vitamin mix out. So Chris, what's that one you got in your hand there, mate?
This one's a Drennan medium pulp. It's
Right.
one I use most of the time, to be quite honest with you.
Right. Is that the name of it? It's just called a medium pulp.
It's a soft feed medium pulp, that one.
Right. Okay. And what do you like about it?
It's just, but you're quite accurate with it, basically. You know, you feel as though you can get a good stretch back on it.
Yeah.
And if you send them up quite high, they do go out quite a way.
Right.
You know, especially the golf ball size balls, like, you know.
Yeah. We said earlier on, the smaller you make them, the further they go.
Yeah.
So the pouch on that, is that anything in particular? Is that special? Does it come with it, or what?
That's what comes with it. It's a standard.
Right.
You know.
And they're good as they are. They? You haven't got to change that
No,
over.
you haven't got to change them at all.
Right.
You know, just get yourself some spare elastics.
Right.
And
Because it always goes when you're baiting up, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, you can buy spare pouches and elastic for these anyway.
Right.
So, I mean, these will go eventually, obviously, if they get a lot of use, they'll split and that, but so
Right.
you can replace them easy enough.
Right. And do you only use those for ground bait, or do you use those for boilies as well, or?
I'll use them for boilies a lot. I think for fishing the sort of ranges we're at now, they're brilliant if you want to put out sort of 6 to 8 baits. They're spot on for it. So,
Right.
to be honest, a lot of the time I'll use that for most of my fishing.
Right.
And if it's any further, I'll use a throwing stick a lot of the time now.
Right. Cool.
So.
Okay. So that's that one. Why have you got different ones here? And tell us a bit about them.
Well, as Chris said, I mean, that's our preferred choice for our pole.
Right.
Which we know. Main reason I would say for me is that if you want to fish 15 yards out with ground bait, or if you want to fish 45 yards out, it's all right. You can gauge it quite easily. But these are sort of more hard. They're designed for sort of hard balls of ground bait.
Right.
Again, it'll fire this out. I mean, that's a long range one.
Right.
But the only thing we're using these are great if you want to go out longer.
Right.
Yeah. But you're a little bit restricted when you're trying to fish at shorter distances. It's very hard to gauge it with the heavy elastic.
Right.
Very hard to gauge it accurately each time. With that, with a lot sort of soft there, you've got a lot more tolerance there to gauge it. But these are really for long range. It's great if you want to go out a little bit further.
The balls. So are those two the same?
Yeah, that's the real long range one.
Right.
And that's sort of a medium. So
Right.
that's probably the better of the two for the ranges we're fishing today, but overall choice would definitely be the other one.
Right.
But they're all Drennan pulps.
Right.
They all do the job really well.
Good. So that's a good tip, because I hadn't thought about that. If you're using a real heavy elastic and you're not fishing far out, it is hard to get it bang on every time, because you're not pulling it back very far, are you?
No, we try and choose the pulp for the distance we're actually fishing.
Right. Okay, cool. And definitely spare elastics, because I know from using a catapult baiting up with boilies years ago, it always went right in the middle of baiting. And if you haven't got elastics, you're cutting it down, it's getting shorter and shorter, and it's harder to get the range.
That's it. I mean, there's only so many times you can actually cut it down.
Right.
You have to go out and get some new one.
What we were doing, because spotting was banned on here for 2-3 years, and so we were ground baiting all the time then.
Right.
So rather than have just spare elastics, we actually used to carry 3 pulps each.
Really?
Because you can get, the amount of times you get a pulp and it snaps, you pick another one up, and that's almost near its snapping point. You get the pouches and it goes again. And you don't want to be sort of doing it there and then if the fish are having it. So, you know, it's a case of just grab the next pulp and then we'll fix them later. So
I didn't know you were sponsored by Drennan as well. Don't mind asking for a bit of gear, you two, do you? So this is obviously, we prepared this yesterday. Is there anything that people have got to do with this ground bait mix to keep it spot on? Is there anything they should do, anything they shouldn't do with it?
Well, I mean, we've got the lid off it there, which is drying out really in the wind. It's best to try and keep the lid on it as much as possible.
Right. Keep it out of the sun, or
keep it out of the sun. Because what happens is a lot of your moisture is draining out your particles anyway.
Right.
So when you find you ball this out, some of your particles will actually start to float.
Right.
Okay, so it's best to try and keep it. I mean, we've made it quite damp anyway
for
this session, so we can afford to dry it out a little bit.
Right. Okay. Cool. So anything else on that one, or do you want to move on to the spods that you use?
No, I think that's pretty much it on the on the ground bait.
That's your spod mix, which is obviously the same stuff minus the Vitalin. I know when you both got here this morning, you just wanted to get some gear out there, so you weren't too worried. You were losing a bit out the back of the spod, but it was better to get bait out there than stodge it up at that time in the morning. Yeah. So I know you've stodged that up a bit more, so it's getting closer to the ground bait and it's not falling out the back of the spod so much. So what have you done to do that?
Well, what we've done, we've just added some of our ground bait mix, and a few more pellets as well to break down in there,
Right.
just to thicken it up a little bit. I mean, obviously, if you're only using your spod mix, in if you could pass that bucket there, Dan, actually. I'll take a spod. Right, this is a bit of the wet and dry,
Right, okay.
which I'd use on the method feeder, and you can load your spod up as you would normally, and then just take a small bit of this and just plug some in the top. Just punch that down like that.
Right. And that's going to stop any
That's
grains
gonna
at
stop
all
it
coming out
coming
the
out,
back.
yeah.
Which really, it does my head in. If I'm losing gear out the back of the spod, I
Yeah.
think, you know, I could have done 2 or 3 less casts, you know, and had the same amount of
I
gear
think
out there.
That's right.
Yeah, I think to be fair, I think it looks a lot more than you're
Right.
actually using, because if you get a catapult, if you filled that up now with particle and sprayed that, it'll give you an incredible amount hitting the surface, because it's all small seeds.
Right.
And I think it does look a little bit more, but I know a lot of people certainly don't
Yeah.
like it.
I'm just tight. I just don't like wasting anything. That's what it is.
And that said as well, I think that certainly on a lot of venues these days where there is a lot of spotting, it's not a bad thing to do that if you want to stick a rod in it later.
Right.
Because the fish have learnt in a lot of places that that's safe food.
Yeah, right.
So if a lot of people aren't plugging the back of their spods, then it's worth sort of not doing yours
Yeah.
and maybe sticking a rod in it at a later date.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah. Oh, the boys in the
session.
match last weekend did it, didn't they?
They certainly
right.
did.
They were
yeah.
losing stuff out the back of the spod, and they put a couple of rods on it, especially at night when people weren't
Yeah.
fishing in close, and they were getting bites off
Yeah,
that
they
bit.
saw some fish move down and sort of start rolling over where they had their spill from their spods and caught. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's a classic example.
Yeah, cool. Well, so let's talk about. We talked about how to stodge that up a bit so you don't lose it out the back of
Yeah.
the spod. Because a lot of people do say, oh, I don't like them spods because you lose gear out the back of them, and it's very easy to remedy just by
Oh,
throwing your bit
really
of ground
simple,
bait
yeah.
or plugging the back with a bit of wet and dry
Yeah.
or some softened trout pellet,
I mean-
anything like that. So that's got quite a wide back to it,
Yeah.
hasn't it? Yeah, so that's one of the ones that's probably more prone to losing a bit out the
Yeah,
back.
definitely,
So
yeah.
what spod is it, and have you done anything to make it a little bit different from the norm?
Right, yeah. Well, it's a free spirit spod.
Right.
The holes have been made slightly bigger, which I think is going to be done on them anyway.
Yeah.
I think that's what the company are doing with them. The other thing that's in there is, if I can get this out, is I've put in there a piece of cork,
Yeah.
and it's like a cork floor tile.
Yeah.
And if you plug that in there, it almost empties the minute it hits the surface.
Right. Okay. Because I've noticed as well that these ones they fly beautifully.
Oh, they're lovely, yeah.
But without that bit of caulking, they take a bit of time.
Yeah, especially if you've got a crosswind and you're spodding with braid, which a lot of people are doing now. You get the drag, the spod goes under it, it's just being sort of dragged along with the braid, and
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
finding it very hard to make its way to the top. And the other thing as well is if you are plugging the back, then that's going to affect your spod emptying as well. So you want it as buoyant as possible, really.
Right.
And that one piece of cork there, which is only a few mil thick, makes all the difference. Yeah, you know, works brilliantly. Very impressed with that.
I'll tell you what I've done on mine as well is I've extended these on the back here just from, you know, what you and Chris were saying years ago.
Yeah.
When you were making your own spods, the cords were a lot longer.
yeah.
I found it easier to get it up in the water and get it across the surface, so you're not fighting with it all the way in.
Yeah.
It just skips in along the top.
Yeah, I mean,
you know?
I mean, these spods you can make the holes even bigger than that still, especially down the bottom to get the water flushing through them and that.
Yeah.
But yeah, as it is there now, I mean, my personal, to me, it's one of the best spods on the market.
Yeah.
You know, without a doubt.
And we've got a bigger one
Yeah, they do a bigger one.
there as well. So
These are great. I mean, this is my.
that's a Chris version, isn't it, mate?
Yeah. This
These
would
are
be
these
my.
ranges.
Yeah, the top sort of choice.
Yeah.
For general fishing, it's going to, unless you really can cast and you've got a real big spod rod, that's a struggle to cast one of them full.
Yeah.
I mean, that casts up 90, 100 yards as it is there, even further. I mean,
Right.
the guys were casting 120 yards the other day.
Yeah.
But this one, great if you want to, you know, the range we're fishing now, if you want to introduce a bit more bait a bit quicker, then go for the big spod.
What I found with this long one as well is if you fill it right up to the back and plug it, it tends to wobble a bit. The
yeah.
shorter one doesn't do it,
yeah.
but the long one. So in the end, do you actually end up with any more bait in it?
Yeah.
If you can't fill it all the way up,
That's right.
is it really an advantage? You know, so
I think you do if you've got a stodgy mix and it's not going to come out, you can get away with
and
it.
it's short range, it tends to wander a bit, doesn't it?
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, but this kind of ranges, I mean, if it wanders and wobbles a bit at the back, you still get the range.
Yeah. It only does it at the beginning of the cast,
Yeah, that's
doesn't
right,
it?
and then straightens itself up.
Yeah. So you're hitting the same spot,
Yeah.
but just dropping that little bit more bait. Which if you can drop the same amount of bait in 10 spod falls rather than 15, you know, it's easier to do for one winding in casting out, and it's less disturbance in the swim as well.
That's right. Yeah.
Cool. Okay, so that's those two. So
Yeah.
they're sort of up to 120 yards if you're good with
If
the
you're
spot.
capable, maybe
So-
100 for us, maybe.
Right, so Chris,
110
what's that one? Tell us who makes that.
This
and,
is the Gardner Pocket Rocket XL version,
right. XL meaning what?
meaning it's the one up from the small one.
Extra long. Extra long.
Extra long.
These are excellent for actually flying through the air.
Right.
To get any wobble at all on these.
Right.
Few disadvantages. One, we don't feel there's enough actual buoyancy in the nose. So what
Right.
we've actually been doing
It's them things, isn't it?
That's it.
is they actually put half of one of these in the
Right.
front of here. And
Right.
What we've been doing is putting another whole one down the front.
Really?
I mean, as you get to the bottom, get a bank stick and really push them in. Like.
Right.
And then they
Solar
come
bank stick or any sort of bank stick?
up. Oh, it'd have to be a solar one.
Got to be a
wouldn't
solar one, isn't it, boys?
Yeah, now with one of these added in the front, they do actually pop right out.
They
Almost jump out the
they
water,
almost,
don't
it's
they?
almost like a fish topping out. It's like out and back down again. So
Yeah.
The other good thing about these as well is that when you're fielding bait, you can just dip them in the water from the rod tip, just fill it out water, and you don't hardly lose anything out the back.
Right.
But the difference between these two spods, if I just fill this one up here, you're going to have to
You
work.
can see that straight away. It takes a lot longer to fill
yeah,
that up,
that's
doesn't
right.
it?
And the thing is, you can't use a stodgy mix really with it either.
Right.
It needs to be quite wet.
Because there's no holes, it doesn't dump it as much. You want that medium one.
yeah. It all sort
Right.
of sit in there and sort of sink there. Even with you making it more buoyant, you really want to try and keep it, you know, relatively wet.
So you're going to have to
So
work
let's-
twice as hard.
Let's show us. Let's see that one. Cause I
If I
can't
bring
see
that up in a
yet.
shot now.
Right.
That's the payload of the pocket rocket,
Yep.
and that's the free spirit.
Right.
You know, you're going to have to work twice as hard to get a good
Get the
amount
same
of bait
amount of bait
there,
out there.
Yeah.
You know.
Right. So that's really.
But if you are struggling for range,
Range.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the
go
one.
for it. Yeah.
Yeah. So don't
Without
make your
doubt.
mix quite as stodgy. A little bit of water in the back of that
Yeah.
one. I noticed
Yeah.
as well. You two have used the mini pocket or the pocket rocket, or whatever
Yeah,
it's
the
called.
original. Yeah.
Yeah. And when do you use that over these two?
Well, I think the thing with the mini pocket rocket is that they're lovely because you can stick them on any rod you want. You
Yeah.
know, you can stick it on a 2.5 pound test curve rod, no problem.
Yeah.
It's going to cast well. They've been used a lot for where the fish are a little bit shy of spods,
Yeah.
and they don't really like it crashing in through the water. So what a lot of people have done with them is they've used the small one, and they fish it in a clip. They try and cast it over past whatever mark they're doing anyway, so it hits quite high, the clip quite high in the air, and it sort of comes down, slaps on the top,
Yep.
empties straight away, and it's not doing too much in the way of disturbance.
Right.
So there's certainly been used a lot for that.
Right.
I mean, I always keep a couple in my rucksack just in case I didn't have my spod gear with me and I wanted to try and put a few pellets out or anything
Right.
like that. They're brilliant for that.
Right. So what do they weigh? 3 ounces, something like that, with gear
What,
in them?
loaded up with water? Yeah, probably 3 ounces.
Right, so you can cast them on a 2.5 pound
Yeah,
test curve rod.
yeah.
You could cast them on. Whereas one of them,
You need
you've
a
got to have
specialised-
a spod rod.
Yeah, specialised spod rod.
Right.
It's
and what-
worth pointing out as well with the pocket rockets, if you was just, for example, just spotting out pellet, which really hasn't got a lot of weight to it,
Yeah.
by filling that with the water, you're getting that extra weight to get
Right.
the distance.
Right.
Which you'd struggle to do again with the free spirit. Although you can cast them quite a way without any weight in them, they tend to want to veer off in the wind because there isn't a lot of
Yeah.
weight to them. So,
Sure.
you know, great for just introducing pellet the pocket rocket.
Right. Okay. Cool. So we didn't talk about rods or anything with spodding,
Yeah.
but we've said obviously you need a spod rod. Now,
Yeah.
for anybody that doesn't know what that is, what is a spod rod?
It's a specialised rod designed to do exactly what it says to be
Right.
used for spodding.
And what makes it different from a normal carp rod?
They're usually, well, they're more powerful.
Right.
It's like the ones we use are about £4 test curve.
Right. And who
uh,
makes them?
They're free spirit, so it's the same
Right.
people that do the spods.
Right. Gotcha.
A lot of, I mean, the reason I use the free spirit is because it's not quite as pokey as a lot of the ones on the market. A lot of them are quite hard to compress.
Yeah.
and,
Yeah.
I think they're a little bit too much. They're great if you're using that spod, but most people really don't like the cast spods as big as that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'll use the smaller one of the two. They do two, and I
Right.
use the smaller one, and that suits me down to the ground. You know,
Right.
I can compress it easily without too much effort.
Right. So how far do you reckon you can get those two with that free spirit one?
Well, I was casting this the other day, 120 yards.
Right.
This one.
In the wind as well at
In the
times,
wind,
wouldn't it?
yeah, in the wind. So obviously beyond that sort of ranges,
And it was hitting the clip as well, wasn't
Yeah, it was in the clip, yeah. So
Right.
that's what I'm saying, I could go beyond 120, obviously, doing that the other day. This one, I would say over 100 yards still.
Right.
Maybe 110. That's me, obviously, it goes further than that. Guys
Right.
were using these at 120 the other day, so.
Right. So that'll probably cast, for the average angler, 10 to 20% further than that one will.
Oh, yeah, I would say
But it's
so,
going
yeah.
to dump 50% of the load.
Exactly, yeah.
So you're sacrificing load for
Yeah.
distance.
It's not a bad. I mean, it's not a bad one to start with as well. If you're just starting out spodding, I think, because they fly very true.
Right.
And when you are using them, one of these loaded up, even the small one, is quite a lot of weight there, and it does take quite a lot of getting used to. You know, I
Yeah,
find
sure.
the casting a pocket rock is more like casting a rod. Wouldn't you agree,
Yeah,
Chris?
yeah,
More
definitely.
like casting a rig on the end rather than a big spod.
Right.
Whereas you know that's on there, as you lean into the cast, you can feel that straight away.
Right.
You know.
Cool. Okay. Well, I think that's covered that pretty comprehensively about spods. Anything else about spod rods or spodding that you think is absolutely essential that people should know? Things you perhaps take for granted? What do you think we've covered?
Well, I mean, we both use braid when we're spodding.
Right.
That's
What, on
one
the
thing
reel?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's one
Right.
thing we haven't mentioned. As you know, I mean, I use braid for virtually all my fishing, but what I like about it is when you're actually coming forward with the rod, you're picking it up straight away.
Right.
You know, and
What do you mean? There's no stretching it, you're compressing the rod
Oh,
immediately?
yeah,
Right,
yeah.
okay.
yeah, and obviously when you are hitting a clip out towards a marker,
Yeah.
you're not going to get any overstretch which you would get with like a normal mono, you know.
Right.
It's hitting a clip and dropping straight away.
Right, and it's also, I've found, if you're hitting the line clip on the reel with mono, you do it time and time and time again, you are eventually going to snap that mono,
it.
aren't you?
Yeah,
unless you
yeah.
keep taking it out of the clip, winding up a
Yeah.
little bit and redoing it.
Yeah.
Where with braid, I've spodded and spodded and spodded, clipped under the same bit and not had any problem with it,
Yeah.
so it lasts a bit longer.
Yeah.
A bit more expensive to begin with,
Yeah,
but
but it lasts. It
Lasts
does
for years,
last.
doesn't it?
infinitely longer.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, I think as well, you know, talking about it not having stretch. I mean, fishing those island canopies that we do on, you know, one or two of the venues we fish. You know, if you've got that stretch and you're spodding tight to an island, I mean, you get in the trees with braid anyway. But the thing with braid is it goes in the trees. You just wind it tight, boom, and it's out.
Well, if you do it, it is.
Yeah. Yeah. With mono, you don't. You're
got
lucky,
no
to,
chance,
get,
have
you're lucky
you?
to get away with it. With braid, you can do it.
Right.
So, you know, and the thing is, you don't end up in the trees as much anyway because, like I say, it hasn't got that stretch. A loaded spod, even in the clip at 90 yards, really depends how hard you thump it, how much that line's going to stretch anyway. So,
Yeah, right.
you know, with the braid, it's not a problem.
Right, excellent. Okay. So I'd say that's probably a pretty comprehensive guide to spodding and ground baiting. I think you guys are as good at it as anyone I've ever seen do it. I mean, is there any other little tips and bits and pieces that you want to put in before we move on to something else?
Just the one really. Spodding with braid,
Yep.
you'll be needing a finger stone.
What's that spare finger, isn't it? Looks like. Looks
Same
like King
thing
Kong's
used as
finger,
well.
that does.
I mean, as you can see,
That's
this one's
well,
had a little bit of use.
that's had a little bit of use there, yeah.
Yeah.
That's well cut into,
I'm
isn't it?
I'm actually wearing that round the other
Yeah,
way, so it's
I mean,
coming
that-
down my palm.
That's
at the moment,
supposed to be
as you
worn
can
that way
see.
round,
Yeah.
but now like we're getting use out the other side.
The other side.
Yeah,
Is that because you don't get given them for nothing?
Exactly, yeah.
right.
they're very hard
But
to
the only
get.
bit
They're
you
really,
kit.
they're really hard to get hold of.
They
Actually.
are, yeah.
especially
really
the
hard.
especially the leather ones.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you can buy the sort of cheap PVC things, but they don't really last 5 minutes, you know.
I mean, I've actually got like an all-weather golf glove on it as well now.
Right.
They don't last as long as these, but I mean,
Right.
you can pick them up for about £5.
Right.
And they last quite a while, last about 2 or 3 months.
Right.
And when you think the amount of spodding we do,
Yeah.
2 or 3 months, it's not too bad, you know.
Yeah.
So I'm holding on to that because I don't really want to go a fiver.
You'll have to take up golf and then you can get sponsored in golf as well, can't you? Well, I think that's a pretty comprehensive guide to spodding. What we're going to do now is have a look at Chris and Steve's methods of putting PVA bags together. And Steve was actually the guy that thought of the funnel web system, which has been out on the market for a few years now. We're going to talk a little bit more about that a little bit later on. But in the meantime, let's have a look at some more action.
Get a picture of the rod tip.
Hit it. right, mate?
One of the norms, mate.
Salamander.
Yep, gone off a rate of knots. Still having a little bit of a go.
It's important to keep the rod high in it with braid.
Yeah.
Not let the rod go flat to them.
Yeah, I've just loosened that clutch as well, you know, for the violent head shakes and that, you know.
It don't twist the line, does it? With normal mono, if the clutch is going, you're twisting the line, aren't you?
That's
With
right.
that stuff, you're not. Don't suit everywhere, does it? But it's
Oh, no.
makes it good fun over here.
You know, I've always got mono with me just in case, you know.
Yeah. What braid is that?
That's the new Shimano Antares.
What do you
I thought I'd better put it on a day to match me rods.
And what do you reckon on it?
Yeah, it's nice, mate.
Yeah.
Yeah. As I say, we were having a discussion the other day about braid, weren't we? About the colour of it and all that. It's probably one of the lightest coloured braids on the market. But some waters, it just doesn't bother them at all.
No.
Mine's just a good little tip you've been doing, Dan.
What?
Or was that top secret?
What colour in the end of it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think for the bit that's lying along the bottom, if you can break it up with a bit of like brown tape, bit of green, bit of brown pen, bit of green pen, you know, just the stuff. It's the stuff they use for overhead projectors, permanent marker pen.
Yeah. Well, I can't see it hurting.
No, it smells a bit, but once you put it on, the smell goes away. So
Yeah.
and when you drop it in the edge, it really breaks up rather than that single line that's obviously.
Of one colour. Like,
Yeah, one colour, and it's obviously danger right down there on the bottom. It just breaks out. Maybe it makes a difference, maybe it doesn't.
Yeah. It's like myself and Steve, just lately we've, because we now do 3 different colour clips, rubbers and rig tube, you know, we don't always put the same colours all together.
Yeah, yeah.
Try and break it up a little bit.
So you've got brown tube.
I don't know if we're being paranoid or what, but,
Yeah.
you know, it seems to be working.
End of the day over here, the baiting situation
Oh yeah.
and the way the presentation works rather than how it looks is by far the most important thing.
Oh
isn't it?
yeah, definitely.
You can have something that looks lovely on the bottom and you can hardly see it, but if it's not hooking them like your rig's hooking them,
That's
it's
it.
a waste of time, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's the most important bit. But it's nice if you can do it all. And if it was 6 foot deep and there were boils like that coming up, then you'd think it's a good fish.
They just do not like it, do they, being dragged up into this shallow water.
No. Well, it's just fighting machines, aren't they? There's, you know. They're all muscle, aren't they? They're not fat fish at all.
Nah, no, not at all.
Get the odd lumpy one, don't you? It's
Yeah,
like football.
Some look like footballs. There's a cracking mirror in here actually, which is so long it's unbelievable.
Yeah.
Really does fight as well.
Have you had it?
Now Stevie, I've photographed for Stevie Boy, he had it at 26 off of here.
Gotcha.
There she is, number 8.
Number 8. It's starting to hot up now, and you've
Yeah.
had 4 or 5 takes between you in the last hour, haven't you?
It's cooling off, there's a few fish rolling out there now.
Started rolling quite early and all, didn't they? About sort of 2-ish.
Yeah.
Started rolling, which is normally a
They were
bit
rolling
more
more off
time,
the
innit?
back of the baiting area though. They've actually started getting in closer now.
Do you want to?
Cheers.
Why didn't you chuck one out long then if they're rolling off the back of the bait?
Yeah, basically because I knew there's plenty of bait out there, and if I keep working that swim, all you've got to try and do is entice a few fish down to feed.
Yeah.
And I'll swear blind over here, once there's a few fish feeding, carp being as they are, greedy, a few more move in and then, you know, we get a take. That's
Yeah,
why
yeah.
I think during the course of the day we've been getting like little periods of feeding spells where we both get like 2 takes,
Yeah.
then die off a little bit, then you get another 2 takes, you know.
That's a double, mate.
Another Barney.
Nice propulsion fish, that actually. Right, before I put that fish down, do you want to just throw a bit of water with that cup over the mats? Huh?
It is. Very true. It means your missus won't keep going, why did he catch so many more than you then? Why was that, Steve?
Don't usually.
You don't you?
Another faucet shove, I think.
Yeah.
Typical video camera comes out.
There she goes. There you go, roach fishing hook.
Let's try that back out. That for you, mate, is a tiny, tiny little hook. Catching them though, isn't it?
Yeah.
And that's one of those dumbbell boilies.
Yep.
So, what boilie mix is it? Do you know?
I think it's Grange actually, that one.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm a firm believer of over here, it doesn't really matter what you've got on a hook, it's, as long as it's in a bag and
Yeah,
over the
right.
gear.
Right. And we're going to go through bags a bit later on and show people how
Yeah.
to do them. Because Steve's the guy who thought of the funnel web, and we've developed it further since.
That's it, yeah.
And with you boys wanting to stay ahead of the game all the time, there's a few little tricks in there.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
Excellent. Right, let's get this one back and get the rod back out there. Well done, mate. It's a nice proportion fish, that.
Yeah, it's a lovely little fish, isn't it?
Really nice.
A lot of peas in a pod, aren't they?
Yeah. Gorgeous.
But it's nice, isn't it?
That's what it's all about, mate.
See ya.
You know, and hungry walkers, they just find it so quickly.
Yeah. I mean, when you first came to me with this and said, "Oh, we should really be doing it," I mean, I have to confess, I did resist it for a while.
Yeah, yeah, you
know,
did,
because
yeah.
I, having not used PVA bags so many in a day before,
Yeah.
I couldn't see the advantage. But I mean, after you guys showed it to me, and it ended up going in a nice funnel and everything, and it looked smart as well as working well. I could see the sort of potential for it, and we've done loads of them since. haven't we?
Oh God, yeah. I mean, just myself, it's so rare. The only time I've never put a bag on is if I just have to get an extra few yards and I can't reach the spot. You know, even then I'll try and tie the tiniest little bag I can, just to get it out there. You know, because I'm so much more confident if I've got 20 little 4mm pellets around a hook bait that I'll get a take quicker than if I've just got a hook bait out there.
Yeah.
You know? I mean, you have to think about really these days more what you're putting in your bags, because so many people are using it because it's that good.
Yeah.
So
what do you put in yours?
Well, what I'm bagging up at the moment is a mixture of pellets. Hinders do a ready mix one. The only thing I add to that is the dynamite baits, the little green koi stem pellets that they do. I add that because, again, I'm doing something a bit different.
Right.
Because now, obviously, Hinders are doing a mix of pellets, so it's available to everyone. So I just try and put something else in it, just so it's just marginally different.
Right. So you're taking it for granted here that you mix up the sizes of pellets. Probably a lot of people don't even think to do that in the first place. So you've taken that for granted and gone a step further because so many people are now using bags.
Yeah, it's just I just want to be different, that little bit different to everyone. Whether it's making that much of a difference, if any at all, but I feel then that I've done, you know, I've got then a unique mix to everyone else.
Right.
You know, but the standard sort of bag of 4 mils or 6 mils I really do now. I mean, I use slickers a lot, the slicker pellets Hinders do, but again, I'll use them in all different sizes. I mean, this mix has got all sorts in it.
Yeah,
you know, it's not just different sizes, they're different types of pellet.
Yeah, right.
So it's worth thinking a little bit more about it, you know. Like I say, I use the slickers in bags in mixed sizes, I use the mixed pellet. I use their wet and dry mix as well, which I found is really good as well.
In the bags?
In the bags, yeah. I mean, you can use it for the method, which I do as well, but in the bags or that, and that's pretty much really covers most of what I will use in it, you know.
Well, we've seen you, I mean, while you've been talking to me, you've been tying bags up as well. I mean, almost like do it with your eyes shut sort of stuff. So, do you want to go through one a little bit slower?
Yeah, sure,
and just show everybody, talk people through how you do it?
All right, well, the first thing to do is obviously you've got to get it out of the tube, right? So we've done that bit, right? Always hold the PVA at the bottom, because loads of people I've seen, they've held it up here, they've dropped their bait in, and 5 metres of PVA ends up round their feet, which is amusing for us, but not so funny for them, you know. Right, okay, so you've got your tube. Right, the amount of pellet or whatever you're going to put in is obviously up to you. I mean, the bags I'm making now is generally the size I use. It doesn't matter what I'm fishing for. You know, you don't need loads and loads of pellet in a bag. That's my opinion. Obviously,
Yeah,
other
I agree.
people,
I
you know,
agree.
at the end of the day, you're just trying to attract it to take your hook bait. You're not trying to feed it there. So, you know, whatever size fish it is, you want it to just come along, take the lot in one go, and then you've hooked it.
Cool.
All right. So, drop your pellet down the tube. Okay.
Yep.
All right. What I do then is bunch it into the bottom as I pull it off. Always give yourself plenty of PVA to work with, because that's another thing you see people pull off sort of 2 inches of PVA and they're trying to knot it round.
yeah.
So pull off plenty to work. You can put it back on. All right. So you bunch it up into the bottom of the PVA netting like so. What I do is always give it a little twist just to hold it there while I form a loop on my other hand. All right.
You've got quite a big loop there.
Plenty of loop. Pass the bag back through, and then I'll give it another little twist, make sure it's still nice and tight, and then I'll hold the loops, one part of the loop with my fingers there,
Right.
my thumb there, and then all I've got to do is pull it back through like that.
So you're pulling away from
Pulling away from the bag, so
Yeah.
then you've got a nice
So you're
tight.
not pulling the bag end, you're pulling the funnel web end.
That's it.
Right.
Pull it away so the knot tightens down tightly to the bag, and then all
Right.
you need to do is just do exactly what you've done before, just a straightforward overhand knot. Slide that knot down so it's nice and tight to the next one. Cut in between the 2 knots, and there's your bag.
Easy.
It's as simple as that. I mean, one thing I would mention, that just then earlier I said that they're basically the pellets I use.
Yeah.
I should have said, when I said that's basically what I use, I mean, we've used it, as you know, for maggots and done really well. Loads of different ground baits and things like that. But as pellets, then pretty much what I said earlier is what you want. And coming to the winter time, maggots, crumbed boilies as well is another excellent one, especially in the winter. But you need to think a little bit more coming into the colder months, because obviously pellets just aren't as effective. I always have a few in there, but they're, you know, I'll try and mix it up even more then, more crumbed boilie, you know, the maggots, Solar's Bagot mix is another good one.
Yeah.
Loads of things you can use, just a bit of thought and you'll create a lovely little attraction around your hook
Bit
bait.
of crumbed up bread as well seems to be the thing at the moment.
Well,
as
yeah,
doesn't it?
I wasn't going to say that because it's not for me to say right now, but I'm sure that'll be made public knowledge at some point, but I don't think it's for me to sort of talk about that one.
I think it's a case in the winter time of getting as many good winter attractors in that bag as you can get.
Definitely,
And
yeah.
one of them, casters, maggots, emp, if you can get it in there, pellet,
Yeah.
Vitalin.
It's just fault. It's just try and be a little bit different to everyone else. Think what works well in the months you're using. You know, you're using it. Obviously, summer months pellet, great. You know, winter months not so good. So start thinking about it a little bit more. Obviously, there's some things there I've mentioned that all work. So
Cool. Okay. Well, I know both of you demonstrate this a lot at shows, obviously, and you're doing it in such a way that people can follow it as easily as possible. So I don't think there's many better people to actually demonstrate it. But I know Chris ties his slightly different.
Yeah.
So it's almost like that, what the kids do at school, where they're
yeah, well, he's got them big old bunches of bananas on his hands. It's not so easy for him, like, you know.
Well, what we'll do now then is we'll have a look at how Chris ties his
Yeah.
up, and what he's also going to do is put a refill on, because that's another thing that
Oh,
people sometimes say
yeah.
they struggle with,
Yeah.
and there's a lot of myths about that I think we
Yeah.
can answer as well.
Well, let's hope so. I mean,
Yeah.
we've all seen the one that you could never load on, it will just ladder every time, and we've got it, and just gone, dut, 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 there you go. Like,
Yeah.
so, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of problems people say they've had, but to be honest, 99% of the time, you can, you know, it just
It's the way they're
it's
putting
just
them
not
on.
put on right. I'm not trying to knock anyone here, but I can only say the ones I've been past that are apparently impossible to put on and just gone bang on.
And they're straight
So-
on. Cool. All right, let's see how Chris does.
Okay.
That's so easy, that, isn't it, like that? You're obviously doing them a little bit different from Steve, mate. Is this the big-handed version?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it's the banana finger version.
Right, so slow it down a bit for us and let's just have a look. Obviously, loading it the same way.
Yeah, that's right. Just pull quite a bit off. Bunch it down to the end. Get it as tight as possible, so you get as many as you can out of the system.
Right.
twist it when it's going nowhere, you know.
Right.
Make a loop,
Right.
pass it through, pull it down tight.
That's so easy, mate, isn't it? I've never really watched you do it up close before. I know we've done a million times at shows.
You know, it's just the way I feel comfortable doing it, you
Yeah.
know.
Come on, let's have a look at another one. Just as slow as you can so people can see. I know when you've done a million bags, it's easy to just go quick, isn't it? You know,
Yeah,
but
that's right. You just do. I mean, you practically do these in our sleep now. I think me and Steve, especially Steve. All these
he
shows.
gets a lot of runs, doesn't he? So he needs to do a few bags. So twist that so it's tight.
That's it.
Yep.
Can we do that again?
Yeah, go on.
Make a loop,
Right.
pass it through,
Yep.
pull it down as tight as possible. Hold your thumb on top, bring it round, pull it.
That's it. Done.
Done.
And a tighter bag, you get more out of our system,
That's it.
and they cast a bit better as well, don't
Yeah.
they?
Just make your second knot, cut in between. Ready to go to the next one.
Simple. Excellent. Right. Well, we've said before about the problem people have with putting a refill on. I mean, how many of them do you reckon you've put on in your life?
Oh God, wouldn't even like to estimate it.
Well, it's got to be 3 or 4, isn't it, at least? I see you've got a couple that have been used up that we've
Yep.
just got the inner tubes on. So do you want to go from start to finish with the
Yeah, no
refills?
problem. I'll start off with the original.
Right.
There's your tube. There's your refill. One with a white card on the front.
Right.
Get quite a few people getting the other one now and trying to put it on the big tube.
Yeah. Even I can't do that. Right. There's your spool.
So just find your end.
It's always worth keeping a couple of spare ones in your bag, isn't it? Because there's
you
nothing
got
worse
'em.
than running out.
Oh, you've always got to have at least a couple.
I've done it before, shamefully, and had to borrow a PVA off other people.
Yeah, basically that's how it'll come out.
Right.
Right, now this is your most trickiest bit. Just slowly prise it back. And all the time you're doing it, you're stretching it slightly. And when you
Right.
get to that stage, just dab it on your tongue.
Right. What does that do?
And you can see it shrinking back a little bit.
Yep.
It's sort of like sealing that edge, so
Right.
you won't get any ladders on it.
Right.
Now you can be,
A little bit more forceful with it. Right.
on the end, just check all the way around just to make sure there isn't a ladder.
There's no ladder, right.
So 5 metres going on. Get to the end, put your first knot in it. There you
That's
go.
it, done.
Ladder free, 5 metres all ready to go.
Right, well what I'm going to do now, right, I'm going to take it off,
Mhm.
right, and I'm going to actually ladder it, right,
Right,
and see, it's cut below where you've sealed it off there with a, what's the name, I'll do, let's go with what some people actually do is they, you know, see it's laddered there, they try
Yeah.
and pull it open from the top there, don't they?
yeah,
And then they get it on here, they stretch it over this,
yeah.
so it's the same bit, and you can see straight away it's laddered there on one side.
Mhm.
There you've got your ladder there, right? Now, what most people do, they don't see that. That's under the bottom side there. They don't see it. They throw the whole lot on and ladder the whole thing.
That's right.
And then we get a phone call saying, "Oh, it's laddered on the spool
all the way through.
all the way
yeah.
through." Right? And when we get them back, they're not on the spool anymore, but they were laddered on the spool all the way down to the bottom, which
Yeah.
is strange. So right, I've laddered that now, right? You can see that's laddered quite badly.
Mhm.
Put that on without it laddering now.
Right, there's 2 ways you can do it.
Right.
When you're experienced enough, you can actually push that over, pull that over to one side, get your finger over the side of where the ladder is,
Yeah.
like just below the ladder, and then go again. And there's no ladder.
See,
Right.
I've never even seen that before. So
Right? Or the other way, when you've made as many of these, right?
Yeah.
Or the other way is literally just, as soon as you see the ladder, cut it and start the procedure again.
Cut it below the ladder and stop.
Slowly easing it out,
Right.
dab it on your tongue.
Right.
You can literally see it shrink back in where you've sealed the top.
Yep.
Once you've sealed that top there, it's not going to ladder and you can be quite quite brutal, really. You
Right.
can get it quite wide, you know.
Yeah.
Straight on the tube and done.
Right. So let's whack that one back on again, and we'll do the smaller version. Just cutting below the ladder there.
There you go. So this is quite stretched now because it's been on there once already. But just roll it back out like a condom is, you know.
I don't know.
Just dab it.
I'm married now. There's no need.
See
for
it
any of that
shrinks
sort of
back?
stuff. Yeah. Yeah.
Now it's sealed.
Cool.
Oh,
There you go. Bang on again. Excellent. Right. Let's have a look at the boilie funnel web because that's smaller than the standard one.
Yeah, a few people are finding this one tricky. Again, exactly the same.
Right. But it's black label,
Black label.
and we've put
And it's
boilie
got
on it.
boilie on it.
But-
Surprisingly enough. Tube. Again, I mean, if I can do these, anyone can, you know. This part of the film is actually dedicated to Ian Russell because he is absolutely useless at doing these, so you better be watching.
Makes a good pop-up, but he's not
Yeah.
good at putting these back on.
So, I mean, just be gentle with it at first. Bit of tender loving care.
Right, so you just roll in the top back of the
Yeah,
refill.
just
Yep.
prising it home slowly.
And then just,
Dab it on your tongue.
yep,
See it shrink.
yep.
Now you can be a little bit more. Just wide enough to go on the end of the tube.
Right.
Check all the way around it. There you go.
Cool.
Tie a knot in the end. So where it go?
Pucker. Right, now obviously that one we designed for use with boilies to sort of be used instead of a stringer, yeah?
That's right.
But you can use it with pellets as well. I use it for fishing with pellets now. To be honest, I use that one more than I use the big one now, you know, because my fishing's a bit different from layer, you know.
Yeah.
So when would you use that for pellets over the standard?
When I'm fishing at range, really.
Right.
Because when you're making a bag up, because this weave is quite tight, the bag's more elongated
Right.
than like your standard round bag, you know.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's not a lot of difference, but it's probably 10 yards of difference, but that could make all the difference.
So 10 yards of casting.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
know,
Well, let's
could
have a
be
look at one
inefficient.
done up in that. If you use about the same amount of pellet as you've used in one of these,
Right.
and then we'll see what the two look like by comparison.
Push it down. Get it nice and tight. Twist it. Make the loop.
Right.
Throat.
I love the way you do that. It's excellent, mate. I'm
Right.
impressed.
So it's slightly.
Yeah, if you compare those
Longer.
two there.
It's like having a swivel distance and a swivel pair, really, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right.
But in the bag world,
Yeah. And what's the smallest you tie one of them?
I go down to half that size.
Yeah.
If I really do need to get a long way out.
Right, and that's what Steve was talking about. You know, he'd rather have 20 tiny pellets round there at range
Too right.
than not having anything at all.
Too right. Yeah. Yeah.
Cool. Excellent. All right, well, what I'd like you to show us now is actually how to use the boilie funnel web with boilies and
Yeah.
attach it to a hook link as well. You
Yeah.
know, because that's something that a lot of the top boys are on it now, aren't they? And if
Mm.
you look in the magazines, you see a lot of those top boys you're starting to see the boilie funnel web creeping into their articles. But they've been on it for a while and doing well on it for a while. So let's show them with boilies.
They've been keeping it quiet though.
Yeah.
haven't they? It's about time we spilt the beans,
Yeah,
really,
it is
isn't it?
really, yeah. All right, let's get
Okay.
some boilies and tie them.
Right. Just simply put. I like using 3 boilies. This method, but you can use 3, 4, even 5, you know. But I
Right.
like using 3. So don't be scared to use the PVA and pull quite a lot off. Squeeze them down as far as you can.
Right.
Right, then I'll just sort of angle them like
Right.
that and squeeze them down again.
Right, so you're not in a straight line, you're sort of
No.
offset at the moment.
Yeah.
Right,
Get them as tight as possible, then twist it so it's locked,
right,
and then my normal procedure
right.
through the loop, pull it tight, bring it round. Right, so it's like that at the moment.
Right.
I'll do my other knot and cut in between.
Right, so let's have a look at that.
So it's like that.
Right,
Right. It helps when the boilies are not too soft. You're going to need to have a little bit of hardness there. And then you just squeeze that middle one back in. Right, so that
that
is
is
tight now.
That's almost as tight as Steve, isn't it?
Yeah.
Right, excellent. So
There you
you've got a line of boilies, and that's going to cast miles better than that little group.
Oh,
of-
yeah,
of
yeah,
boilies is.
definitely.
Right, so attaching that then to the hook.
Right, there's two ways. I'll show you the way I prefer, first of all. And there's, you've got 3 baits there.
Right,
But what we're going to do is use the top one as your actual bait on your hook.
right,
Right, so it's almost like you're having a 2 bait stringer rather than a 3 bait stringer going out, although it's in a bag. And what I'll do is put the needle in as close to the underneath as you can get of that top boilie and bring it out
just by the knot there.
by the knot.
Okay.
Okay.
People that have used stringers a lot straight away will know what you're going to do now, won't they? And they'll be
Yeah.
going, oh yeah, I can see this.
Pull the hair through,
Right,
call the boilie stop, bit of rig tube. Just open it up.
I have to say, if I get an old bit of rig tube that's rubbish and you can't use it anymore, I end up cutting it up and putting it in my box for hair stops.
Yeah, that's it.
I'm nearly as tight as he is. Right, so let's have a look at that.
PVA gets wet, starts shrinking. What'll happen is that middle boilie will actually pop out.
Right.
You know, so rather than having 3 baits in a line, you can have like a different pattern of boilies every time. You know, I'm sure there's fish out there that have seen that hundreds and hundreds of times and are a bit wary of it. You know.
It's just like the age-old PVA thing, having a few extra baits around the hook bait has got to make it more attractive to the fish than
course
just
it
the
has.
hook bait on its own.
Yeah,
I mean, it can't be worse, can it?
No.
It's got to be better.
No,
You know,
no.
so for boilie anglers, there's a few of them got to be watching this thinking that is definitely going to catch
It's
them.
definitely the way to go, isn't it?
You know,
know?
for
Another
what it
thing
costs.
as well is if you put like the way that's set up there, 'cause it's all nice and streamlined. If you put one of the solar nuggets on there as well, you can
Yeah.
pretty much cast that into anything, you know, and you
Right.
know it's going to get to the bottom and be a beautiful presentation. You know, it's going to
Yeah.
be spot on.
Yeah, I think for boilie anglers, I mean, I use it mostly for pellet because I do a lot of long range pellet fishing now. But for boilie anglers, you know, summer or winter, whatever, it's going to produce more bites,
Yeah,
isn't it?
definitely.
You know, another thing worth talking about that we get phone calls and inquiries about is the fact that when people are using a lead clip system that you prefer with a PVA bag of some type, every now and again the lead's coming off as the whole thing's hitting the water. So
That's
it's
right.
worth answering first of all why that happens and how to overcome it.
Well, basically, it normally happens when you're using quite a sizable PVA bag in conjunction with a large lead
Right.
or heavy lead.
Right,
Because what's happening is it's the water, the lead's trying to go that way, but the bag is resisting it,
right,
and it's turning the clip up that way as it's entering the water and just making the lead come off the back of the,
right. So let's
off
have
the
a
clip.
so that it's turning the clip backwards like that. That's what you're saying.
That's it, yeah. I mean, if I hold this,
Right,
you imagine you're casting it out, that's going in first.
right.
Yeah, you've got a bag here,
Yeah.
and as that's going down, the bag's dragging it back that way,
And the lead's coming off
that way.
like
yeah.
that. Right, got you. Okay. I can see there. I guess that's the way that you cure it, is it?
That's right, yeah.
To tie on that bit of. We can turn that round the other way. You're tying the lead to the swivel with a bit of PVA there.
That's right.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
on the cast, you know, because it's dry, it's going to be strong. But once it's on the bottom of the lake,
That just disappears.
it just disappears, and then bang, you're fishing with the same system
That's
that's
it.
going to dump the lead again
Yeah.
if you want to.
Safe system again, yeah.
Right, okay. And what about if people, because when that's all wet and you're having to dry it all out and do that every time, if you're doing a lot of casts, is there a way of getting around it without having to do that?
Yeah, just basically, I mean, like Steve wouldn't use this system if he was casting at range with quite big bag or long bags, you know.
Yeah.
He would use our leg core leader.
Right.
With normal size 8 swivel on the
Just
front,
hold that up so everyone can see.
an 8mm rubber like buffer bead,
Right, which is
little
there.
bit of Carp shrink tube,
Right. What's that
and
for?
just to protect this last bit down here, you know.
Right. So to take the
That's-
force of the cast in
That's
effect.
it, yeah.
Right. And the
You
leg's
know?
just running on that.
Just running
So
on
there's
it.
no way that leg can come off.
That's it.
Right, okay. And I mean, this one's already got a boilie on. If people don't want to attach going through that boilie, say they're using, I don't know, a pop-up, or the bait's tied on or something like that, and they can't get it down there, how then would you attach the boilie funnel web, strip of boilies to that?
Right, I'll just take this one off of here and I'll show you. And basically you've got your roll like that, and just get the point of the hook and just nick it underneath.
Right, like that. So it's
Yeah.
it's hanging in a similar way to a normal stringer there.
Stringer.
But again, you've overcome that problem of the
The
PVA
boilies.
shrinking and the boilies getting stuck together.
That's it,
Or
yeah.
the boilies ending up in just a line.
Yeah.
So you can put it on whatever you want.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I favour the leg clip all the time. I haven't used a running rig for years, you know. And what I tend to do is, as you're casting the lead out, I just got used to fishing against a line clip or whatever.
I think this one's a mirror, which might be a rarity. If it is a
You
mirror.
said that last time. The last time we didn't get to see it.
No. Oh,
Having a go.
it's having a bit of a go, this fish.
Somebody likes it out there, better than he likes it in here.
Chowing down.
Do the mirrors quite different from the commons? Can you tell when you've got one or not?
When you've got a big mirror on, they tend to be, you can feel but there's a good fish on, but you get like a tap in on the rod.
Right.
Not like you do with a salamander, you know.
It's not violent,
No.
but just little
Yeah.
tap where they're shaking their head just a bit. They're not stupid, are they? They know how to get rid of it.
No, that's another common. I think that was wishful thinking on my part.
It's coming up, is it? It's coming up
Gotcha.
on the screen. Oh, right.
She's in.
That caught in the net though.
Well, best do that in the water then, mate.
Well, no, what I do, I'll gather the net up so the fish don't move in the net. So, I'll take it to the mat.
So the green mile.
Mind yourself, Steve. Get out.
That's it. Got my road chuck on again, look.
Another wicked hook hold.
Yeah.
How often will you
Yeah.
change the hooks?
When it goes blunt over here.
Yeah?
Anywhere else I'd change it after every fish. Not on the syndicate water and that.
Let him get on with it.
I don't know, you get a bit
Sure you
blasé
might
over here
balance
really,
down there.
because like, you know, if you lose one, you know there will be another one along quite soon after.
Beautiful,
But
isn't
it's-
it?
oh yeah. As I
Gorgeous.
said earlier, peas in a pod, aren't they?
Yeah. Got to have grown in here, haven't they, that size?
Oh yeah. Yeah,
I was
without
catching them
doubt.
that size 10 years ago in here, so
Mm.
they can't be the same fish.
Yeah, they're always growing on. I mean, they've actually taken fish out of here in the past to put into their other waters in caps, you know.
Yeah,
And there's still thousands, well, I wouldn't say thousands, but there's a good head of them in here.
yeah. Cool, right, let's get this one back in the net, get that rod out again.
Steve, do you want to talk us through the method that Nick Helly has been perfecting over the last few months? I'm sure he won't mind everybody finding out about it now, because he's clumped a few fish on it by now, hasn't he?
Yeah, he's wrote about it now, and I mean, he was fortunate to sort of tell us about it quite some while ago now.
Yeah, we found out about it at the NEC, didn't we?
I can't remember if it was the NEC or before then. I can't remember now if it was a Carp Society or when it was, but anyway, we were lucky enough to be told quite early anyway. Right, yeah, it's been named the PVA stick,
right,
or the dynamite stick. The main sort of bait that it's been used in it is the meaty ground bait, the dynamite stuff.
Yep.
She's excellent. All you need to actually make the stick is the ground bait, the boilie web system, a string of needle, a pair of scissors, and a compressor to punch it all down.
Yeah.
All right, but it's a devastating method. Do you want me to show you how to make one up, then I'll talk through why I think it works so well with that, yeah?
Sure.
Okay. Right, well, first of all, I mean, I've already opened the tin anyway because I've made some up, but the actual ground bait's quite compact, like a solid lump.
Right.
So you need to break it up a bit first. I'll just use my compressor and just sort of stir it round.
Right.
Till I get the loose.
Pointing out, Nick was using a biro, one in thick markers to compress it
down,
down, with a bit of down,
yeah.
And we saw the obvious advantages of it, and the fact that it is something that's going to last the test of time, isn't it?
Yeah.
So it's worth actually making a proper compressor to fit the boilie funnel with. Right, so you fluff that up a bit.
Yeah, I'll fluff that up. I won't forget our boilie web out. Right. For the dynamite one, because it depends what bait you're using. You want to try and get all your sticks the same length.
Right.
All right, because you're trying to fish your hook lengths the same length as your sticks as well.
That'll become apparent why that is.
Yeah,
in a minute
that's
when you
right.
tie that up.
Yeah.
Right.
All right. What I found is if you fill up the system first, okay. I mean, these can be done at home anyway. You haven't got to do these on the lake either, you know.
I know Nick was doing like 10 or 20 in advance with hook links already in them.
Through them,
so you can just, you know, clip them on and cast them out.
Right, so I filled that to the top. I just use a hard surface, just compact it down nice and tight.
Right.
All right. And then what I will do is because there's nothing solid in there, it compacts down quite some way.
Right.
All right. So I'll take it virtually to the top, just short of the top again.
Right.
And then my stick should come out the same length as the other ones I've already made. Right, okay.
Almost to the top there.
So about an inch below there. Punch it down. Obviously, you can make them as long and as short as you want. You know, I've used tiny little ones like out of range and already, you know, and obviously longer hook lengths and caught on it. Okay, you can see the oil coming out there, like, you know. So once you've compressed it down, what you need to do is slowly push the sausage out. All right, so it's all compacted in there. Just slowly work it away like that. Take your compression stick out, and it's just like if you were doing the bag now. You know, the bag of pellet. All you got to do now is tie it off. All right. So I'll do that. I'll go through that, tie that off. Straightforward overhand knot.
Just the same as doing a normal pellet.
Exactly the same as the pellet we were doing. Yeah.
Right.
All right then. Another knot in there.
Get a bit of breeze now.
A
bit of fishing weather coming in.
Yeah, we shouldn't be here. We should be out using all this. Right.
Right. Okay.
Okay. So there's your sausage. Now, as you can see, it's pretty close there. There's not a great deal in that. They're all pretty much the same.
You can see those ones have soaked the
That's it.
soaked right
you can
through.
see how dark they've gone already. All right. So the good thing is as well, like they won't break down too quickly because you know you've oiled up your PVA as well, so they'll last like that for a while.
So the water's got to eat through the oil before it gets to the PVA.
Yeah.
Right. Cool.
All right. So there's your sausage.
Right. Okay.
All
So
right.
how are you going to put that on?
Right. What you need to do from here is you need a string of needle, not preferably a straighter one than mine. Seen a bit of action that.
That's
all
the 10 string of needles for £1 at half.
You know, but I've had it for quite some time now. Right, so you pass that up through the sausage. All right. Obviously, as near to the middle as you can. There you go. Look at that. That was a good shot, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Especially as that's so bent. Right. So you've done that. So now you're sitting there with your sausage on the string of needle.
Yeah.
Right. My hook lengths are tied to loops, which I do anyway.
Yep.
All right, but if you're going to use this method, you've got to do this. You've got to use the clip as we showed earlier, and you've got to tie it to a loop. All right. You hook that on your string of needle and just pass it back through.
Right.
All right.
You just break in that.
You can just hear the PVA break there. All right. Now you bury the hook right in the sausage.
Yeah.
Like that. All right.
Got it.
See, it's just coming out the top there.
Yeah, wicked.
All right. One of the reasons for this is as that expands, as it melts and it pushes out, it starts to cover your leg because your lead's so tight, so everything's sort of buried.
Excellent.
I'll just take this one off here so you can see it clipped on. And again, this is one of the reasons I've been using sort of running type setups a little bit more. Not because they're running, but because you can present this with a lot less hassle.
Right.
You know.
You don't get that problem with the lead coming off when it's a surface.
No,
is that what you
no,
mean?
yeah,
Right.
that's what I mean. I mean, like you say, you get round it, but if you're fishing to islands, it's a lot harder. You know, like you were saying earlier, you can just stop it when you're going for the old shit or bus cast, you know, and it's got a slam in there. You can't really do that.
Yeah.
So, you know, so in them sort of situations, I'm happy using this because I don't want to get it in there and then try and tighten down and my legs come off. There's nothing worse than that.
Yeah.
All right, so I've hooked that up on there like that.
Yep.
Just clip it up exactly as you would do the other ones. And there it is, ready to cast.
That ain't going to tangle, is it, mate?
No. And the beauty of that is you can cast that in anything as well.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't matter, your hook's buried in that sausage. You can see just the baits. It doesn't matter, you're not going to pick anything up. It's going to go down a lake bed, and it does, because as you tighten your line up, it lays next to your lead like that. And that just expands out into a patch.
Right.
As it breaks down, it just expands out in a patch, and it is wicked. And
Well,
the thing is you're not giving them any food at all. There's loads of attraction there, but I mean, I think one of the reasons Nick was using it because he was using it on places where there'd be a lot of bait going in,
Yeah.
and the fish are obviously sampling the odd one, but they didn't really want that. You know, they've been hammered on it, and so they're picking off little bits and pieces, and that's what it's about. It's about loads of attraction. I mean, what I've got on the end there is just a piece of boilie. It's just a chopped down lump of boilie dried out. And,
Right.
you know, I'd be happy to use that. A small whole tiger or a chopped tiger that's on there. A grain of maize. It does work well with small bits of bait. I mean, I've used these pellets, these little halibut pellets as well to good effect. But any of those, I'm happy to stick on the end.
Right.
You know,
So where
Once you get that
would you
confidence-
use it and where wouldn't you use it then?
I would use it virtually anywhere, to be honest with you. I mean, I haven't tried it yet over lots of bait,
Right.
and I really want to do that. I mean, Chris has been playing around with it. He's got some of the Carp Rust really bright ground bait, and he's used that over his spod, and he caught really well on it. I mean, it's like fluorescent pink,
Right.
and it may turn out to be quite a good one. I don't know, but if I was fishing somewhere that's, I mean, St John's, the hard, those pressured sort of day ticket venues where they get boilies day in, day after day, and you know, you just go and cast this out. You pick your spot where you want to put it somewhere where you're hopefully going to get a pickup, and you know, probably got more chance of getting a take on that than filling it in at times. You know,
Yeah, right.
I think it's one of those things that when things are hard, you know, if it's not happening on your usual methods and that, then you know, use it.
Yeah,
you know, but it's worth trying on all the venues because the people that get on it early are the people that reap the rewards. You know, it's.
And what about other stuff that can go in it? You said you would use it virtually anywhere.
Yeah.
What other things so far have you found that you can put in it and work like that?
Right, well, this was the first one, the dynamite, as I said. I mean,
Yeah.
cracking stuff, oily as you like, so much of attraction going off of it. I've mixed that with they do an amino ground bait as well. I've mixed a bit of that in with it, makes it really dark, colours it right up. The other stuff I've used the wet and dry lot we've used in the bags. That actually, although it's very dry, it compresses down. But what I've done with that is I've mixed that with this, and also the Hinders A mix as well, because that's quite oily.
Right.
So the things to look at, if you use that wet and dry, you can get the slicker oil that they do as well, and sort of make it
Lace
into.
it up with that.
Yeah, lace up with that, punch that down, and that'll compress up and make a stick. Obviously, what you don't want to do is put loads of broken boilies in there, things like that, because you stick your stringer needle through it, like you pull your head, like obviously it melts, and you've got bits of bait up your hook length. So you've got to think, obviously, like, you know, don't do that. If it's pellet, it'll go past the pellet, and you know, it's not going to end up in your hook length. But yeah, the things I'd say look at is obviously that this is the real kiddie, but mix it again. You can mix it up. You know, like I say, you look at the A mix and look at the wet and dry. They're the things we've tried. Different liquid attractors in them. The Tails Up Shell Amino, we've put that in there. Kriston's Ambio, all those good amino type
anything to moisten it up, because I've tried it with dry ground baits, and it just floats, and it just all comes up to the top and doesn't give you that same effect. So it's got to be moist in some way, isn't it?
Yeah.
And if you moisten it down with something that hasn't got any water in it, then that's gonna stop it from melting the bag when it goes in the bag. Because if you moisten something down with water and then try and compress it down, then you're just going to end up you know, with all the bag melting.
Yeah.
So if you use oil or any of these attractors that haven't got any water in them,
yeah,
you
nothing
can get away with it.
Yeah,
Right.
as long as you've got no moisture on there, you know, it's not a problem.
Right.
But they're definitely the ones to look at for now. I mean, there's other things on the market. I mean, the stuff that Carp are bringing out. I mean, that'll be an interesting one. I mean, maybe on some waters, you know, it's not going to work at all because a lot of it seems to be on the fact that it is so visual. But on, you know, overstocked, hungry lakes and that, then they're probably going to snuff it up straight away. They won't have any problem finding it. So there's going to be quite a few things I think out there off the back of this that work really well.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what we'll do now. Then we'll drop this in the edge and have a look at how it splits. And when we do it at shows, this is the one where you get, when you get like 30 people around going, wow, that's great. You know,
everything's buried. Your hook limp's running through it. You know, it's inside, so the presentation is just spot on. And the only thing that a fish can pick up is your bait, because there's nothing else there for it.
Yeah.
You know, loads of attraction, but there's nothing else for it to really eat. So,
right. Excellent. All right, well, let's have a look at it in the edge then.
Okay then.
Cool.
So this is a dynamite stick dropped into the edge just so you can see how it's going to melt on the bottom. Obviously it's shallow water to give us a better view of it. So first of all, we've done this a couple of days in advance. Tell everybody how that will affect how long it takes to break down.
Well, it will affect it quite considerably. It'd probably be breaking down already now if that had been made instantly.
Right.
I mean, you can see the PVA's starting to go now. Obviously, that's an advantage if you're fishing anywhere abroad in deep water. Then it's an advantage. I mean, it's not really an advantage over in this country because let's be honest, not many people fishing more than 15 feet of water.
Yeah.
But you can see that's peeling back there. That'll soon be down to the hook bait and that'll soon disappear. Yeah, one thing about making them up in advance, don't go too silly. Obviously, it's a good idea to do it in advance because it's quite time consuming, but don't go mad because obviously if you make them up 2 weeks in advance, the old carp be going around looking like they're smoking Cuban cigars. All right, so you don't want to be doing that.
It's breaking away now. I mean, only after sort of 30 seconds a minute, something like that.
Yeah, you can see big chunks of it. But what'll happen, it'll break down, the water will penetrate it, crack it. I mean, you can see the air bubbles coming out of it now, and the oil is absolutely...
It's flooding out.
Oh, it's going mad. And obviously that's going to carry on going. Any carp swimming above that, you know, if they're 6 foot above that and those oil bubbles are coming up, they're going to sense that attraction coming off the lake bed.
And would you still use something as oily as that all through the year, even when the water's cold? Or
No,
not?
I mean, that on its own will work. To be honest with you, I prefer, I've been using 50-50 of that, the dynamite with hinders, because it does take a lot of oil out of it, so it gives me more opportunity to make them up a long time in advance. I mean, I've had them probably in bag for a couple of weeks before, throwing them in the edge, and I've only taken a couple of minutes to break down, so they're still quite usable.
So that's because the hinders has not got as much, the wet and dry's not got as much oil in it.
That's it. You know, it seems to soak a lot of the oil out of the meat into itself, so overall it's not so oily.
Right.
You can see big cracks have appeared into now. It's breaking right down now.
It's puckered, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it'll just end up as a little carpet with just one bit of food at the edge of it, because obviously there's nothing there for them to eat other than that little bit of hook bait.
Yeah, I mean, you barely see the hook bait. You obviously can't see the hook, can't see the hook link.
No,
it's just, you know, absolutely excellent. I've got to point out as well, that lead looks pucker against the bottom there. And we've not even staged that, have we? We've just dropped it on a bit of bottom.
No, it just seemed to land in the right bit looking at that. But no, yeah, that has worked well. You can see now, look. Plus the little bits that are float up from it as well, it all adds to the attraction for anything passing by.
It just looks
the
pucker,
oil's
mate.
pumping now, really
excellent.
Pumping.
Another one, mate?
Yeah, another one. It's nearly in this one already as it goes. I've got it in quite fast. It's banging around a little bit there. See the old rod tip bending over.
And new rods, aren't they?
Yeah, the new Shimano Interiors. Very nice.
Yeah, that's why Chris said he's got the braid on to match his rods.
That's it, yeah.
I didn't get it at the time when he said it, but yeah, right.
It's first time out with them, but...
Impressed?
Yeah, very much. I mean, I like a powerful rod anyway, and these are the 3-pounders.
which might sound a bit severe seeing as we're fishing at 40 yards.
Yeah.
But to be honest, because we punch out bags a lot of the time over, we might want to whack a bag out 80, 90 yards if the fish is showing in the middle.
So you get a PVA bag 90 yards?
Oh yeah,
Yeah?
yeah, no
Right.
problem. Yeah, just a small one, small little bag and a pop-up whacked out.
Right.
You know, as we were talking about on the rig talk the other day. You need something like this to do it, you know. Often it gives you an advantage because no one else can get them out there, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
They struggle with their lighter rods where you can get out the range with those.
So when would you put one further out then?
If it's not really happening over the baited area and the fish are all showing out of range, which they do sometimes, then you know, you've got to look at your options.
Right. So if you're a complete beginner, would you buy a £3 test curve rod then?
No, I wouldn't. I mean, it's best to try and pick something that's going to cover as many jobs as possible.
Right. Otherwise you'd be buying new sets of rods all the time.
Yeah,
wouldn't you?
exactly. But I mean, I've got a set of the Shimano bugs, which are 2 3/4, which are a softer action than these anyway.
Right.
They're probably a sort of better buy to look at really if you're starting off, just because, you know, I'm used to powerful rods anyway, so you sort of get to know what you can do with them, what you can't do with them.
Right. I see Chris is using a braid, but you're using mono.
Yeah, I like a lot more room for error.
Actually, mate, today's you're doing well today for numbers of fish landing. You ain't lost one yet, have you?
No, I did have a nickname as Bouncing for a while. Bouncing Spurgeon I've got for a while. I had a little bit of a bad time with fish, but
I've sorted you a few rigs out, didn't I? Set you straight.
Of course. Not.
That ain't bad
There you
fish,
go.
mate, is it?
No, it don't look too bad, that. It's had a good go. It's nearly ready now.
So you prefer mono, do you?
Yeah,
You like the stretch in the
Yeah, I
in
like
mono?
the stretch. I mean, I've got braid. I mean, I'm using the 10,000s here, which I've got loaded up with braid as well. I've got the Antares braid, but I'm not completely sold on braid.
No?
No.
What don't you like about it?
I'm not too much into the pinging of the braid as it goes over dorsals and things like that. I mean,
Yeah.
it's bad enough with nylon and that for me. So, like I say, I like that, you know, that little bit more stretch. But
Yeah.
the braid for casting, you can't beat it. I mean, I use it in the winter as well. Better line, you know, better bite indication with the braid.
Yeah.
So that's where I'll be using it more at range in the winter because it casts brilliantly.
Yeah.
So, but
So if you're a beginner, stick with mono.
yeah, I mean, I'm happy with my Technium here. That'll do me. I'm more than happy with that.
Right.
Here we go.
Well, this has played the game while we've had a chat.
Yeah,
Let's get it in the net, eh?
Just going to get the flags out in a minute, the white flags. There we
Gotcha.
go. Nice one, Dan.
Excellent.
That'll finish the day up nicely.
Good angling, mate.
Cheers.
Good angling. Now Barney Rubble.
Yeah.
I'll get him on the mat.
Just behind you there.
Done, mate. Oh, yeah, and a bad fish actually,
No,
mate.
it's not too bad, is it? So I've been catching all the good ones today.
Yeah, I know.
Chris is pest controller, isn't he? Nothing changes. Another good hook hold as well. It's moved off just to the side there.
You
but
sound
it's-
surprised.
Well, we just spoke about my old nickname. There we go.
Yeah, let's have that hook out the way, mate. Lovely.
Another long.
What a lovely fish. Look at that.
Right, look, here's all his fins coming up. Almost like a wild, isn't it?
Yeah.
Nice clean mouth on this one. There we go. I think we'll get him back in the water. That one. Oh, before he gets to
Before he gets to
upset.
jump out the net.
Yeah.
Watch that fin's bent back the other way
Just
underneath him.
slide that into the middle of the
That's
net.
it. Cool.
Lift it up around him. There we go. He's ready to go back.
That's it.
Seems quite happy in here now, Dan, doesn't he?
Yeah. He's back in the water.
There we go.
Lovely.
Job done.
Pucker. Straight back out on that bed.
Yeah. Look at him.
Yeah. Well
Down the
close.
cornices.
Loads of them. Absolutely loads. Another one out
Look.
there. Oh,
You can see why he's been catching them all, can't you? You know what I mean?
what's this going to be? Number 20, isn't it?
Yeah, this will be 20 fish if this comes in the net between us. Chris taking the lion's share, but obviously we've only got to look at the water now. It's like a dolphin show, isn't it?
Been a good day though, isn't it?
Oh yeah, it's been good, yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
considering that the lake's not been fishing very well, has it?
No,
You know,
it's not
and-
late.
I mean, we heard a couple of days ago that 2 blokes only had 3 between them.
Yeah.
You know, up until about sort of 3 or 4 in the afternoon. You know, so
Yeah, we're happy with that.
yeah.
We can't complain. It's not fishing to its usual standards, but I mean, we've had a couple of 20-pounders. Chris has smashed the shoes apart. You know, he's really done well there. I've gone for the quality, and he's done the quantity.
Yeah. We'll put him on pest control then, shall we?
Yeah.
Get him a rent-a-kill test.
He's happy. He's caught a few. He don't catch many, so he's happy.
I reckon we should show him that noose later. What do you reckon, Dave?
It's a day out for him and a day off for his family. You know what I mean?
I won't say nothing about that noose that you were hanging up about 11 o'clock this morning when you'd only had one.
Forget that, yeah.
Forget all about that.
The £10 IQ just wasn't strong enough to hang myself from a tree. The old craft knife come out and it was hovering over the wrist a couple of times, but
Ooh,
it's a trout.
it's a trout this time, yeah.
Old lead.
Mind you, you're good at catching trouts, Dave, aren't you?
I am, yeah.
Makes my heart jump when that rolls over the line.
So what, Steve, it weren't your buzzer.
No,
Yes,
good
it
mind.
goes.
Rip off with the big ones on.
Going to get that on the net. On the mat, should I say?
It'll just be a couple of minutes while I roll this net up. Here we go.
Down.
Salamander again, Chris.
Yeah, I love them.
It's number 20, so like I say, it's been a good day, hasn't it?
Yeah, that's
Had
it,
a-
right.
Had a few laughs and jokes and caught a few fish.
I suppose we'd just like to finish off by saying, you know, thanks very much for watching. We hope that the boys here have taught you a few new tricks, and we hope you take them onto your waters and apply them and catch a load more fish. And we've certainly had a good time doing it,
we
haven't
had
we?
a great time.
You know, we
Smashing it.
hope you've had a good time watching it. We'd like to say thank you for Caps for letting us use the point for the day. Maybe we'll see you on the bank somewhere sometime. Thank you.